Hello, I am Ruby Falconer. Today's date is July 8th, 2021, and this is a Shamanic Egyptian astrological journey in honor of the Cancer new moon. We have entered the dark moon period. The dark moon is the 3 nights on either side of the new moon. So in this case, it's tonight, July 8th, tomorrow night, the 9th, and the next night, the 10th. This happens every new moon, and it is the time when the moon is not visible in the night sky. This happens because of where the moon is in relationship to the earth and the sun. It's basically in front of the sun, so we can't see it. We're blinded by the sun, so to speak. So the moon is not visible at night. For shamanic peoples around the world, the dark moon was a time of contemplation. It's a time to go inward, to let go of the energy of the previous moon cycle and to open up to whatever it is that might be coming in for the next moon cycle. This particular new moon in Cancer, it's exact on the east coast of the United States on July 9th. That's tomorrow night, 9:17 p.m. It's taking place Cancer 18 degrees 02 minutes. So it's in the sign Cancer. In traditional astrology, Cancer is about home, family, roots. Its concerns are about safety, security, stability, and its theme is about nurturing. In an ideal world, we are nurtured through our family of origin. This is where we receive food, where we receive comfort, where we are held. Now, this isn't true for everybody. This isn't the story for every person on earth, but this is the ideal. This is what we want and hope to receive from a family unit. Those of us who have not received this from a family unit, we frequently attempt to manifest this through the families that we create, or through families of choice, through a community, a tribe, a collection of friends. We not want that feeling of safety, security, stability. We want to be held, we want to be comforted, we want to be nurtured. During this new moon, it's important to think what it means to be nurtured. What is nurturing? What does that mean? Sometimes nurturing does mean comfort. Sometimes it means being held in compassion and care. This is all very appropriate for the sign Cancer. This sign is a very sympathetic sign. It's very kind. It's very caring. It's very empathetic. But sometimes being held and being nurtured means we have to be willing to look at some of the things that aren't working in our lives. And that's a lot of what's going on with this particular moon cycle, and most particularly this new moon. This new moon was ushered in by the movement of Venus and Mars through the sign Leo and into a relationship, we astrologers call it a T-square, with the Saturn-Uranus square. Now, the Saturn-Uranus square is that very powerful aspect that is dominating all of 2021, and it will dominate a good portion of 2022 as well. Saturn is Sobek, the old king. This is the principle of constriction. Uranus is Wajet, the Cobra Kundalini goddess. This is life force. She represents Kundalini energy. She is Uranus, who is the great awakener, the shatterer. Wajet is also known as the shatterer. So this square between Saturn Sobek, Uranus Wajet has been going on for all of 2021, and it will continue on. It's kind of the backdrops of this particular time. And the way it's manifesting is a sense of something building up under the surface, something unpredictable, something volatile. Sometimes it's bursting through. It bursts through with earthquakes, with volcanoes, with explosions, buildings falling down, which of course happened a couple of weeks ago in Surfside in Florida. All kinds of things like this. There was an eruption of fire in the ocean when a oil pipe broke in the Gulf of Mexico, and we had a fiery explosion in the Gulf of Mexico. We've had explosions in various places around the world. This sort of thing happens all the time, of course, but it's notable during a Saturn-Uranus square because it's kind of building a pressure, and this explosion, it's an outpicturing, in a sense, of a kind of internal energy that many of us feel in our own lives. We are in this place in 2021 where in last year, during the COVID year, for at least the United States, I'm well aware that for much of the world, COVID is still ongoing. But in the United States, we went through a period of a dismantling of the structure of society as we've known it. We are not in agreement around what the new structure is going to look like. We're going in a certain direction in terms of our government, but not everybody's on board. And there's a lot of concern about what might be going on under the surface. This is very much that Saturn-Uranus energy, that sense of Uranus, while yet is pushing against the confines of Saturn Sobek, which is holding it in. And so it's this tension. It's like birth contractions in many ways. And in the bigger picture, we can look at it as the birth contractions for building a new structure for society, because whether we actually realize it or not, the established structure that we were operating under for many years has dissolved away. It's eroded away. It's been dismantled. So something new needs to be born, and it's not born yet. So right now we have Venus and Mars. Venus is the principle of values. This is Isis in the Egyptian pantheon. Mars, the warrior king. This is Set. They've been moving toward conjunction. They will be in an exact conjunction on the 13th in the sign Leo, which is a fire sign. They've been moving through an opposition to Saturn, a square to Uranus. So they're activating the Saturn-Uranus square. And in the new moon chart, they are forming what we astrologers call a T-square. A T-square is like a four-legged table that's missing a leg. So there's a kind of an off-balance kind of energy that happens. And so this energy of the Saturn-Uranus square has been activated as we're moving into this new moon, and as these two, Venus and Mars, come into conjunction. And just as a note, at the end of this moon cycle, we're going to have Mercury and the Sun on the 21st and the 22nd moving into Leo, and also moving into that same territory. They're going to also activate the Saturn-Uranus square as we come to the end of this moon cycle. So we kind of have bookends on both ends of this moon cycle, where Leo planets, Leo inner planets, are activating the Saturn-Uranus square. So I thought, in honor of this particular moon cycle, we would do a journey with Anubis. Anubis is the Egyptian neter who is most associated with the sign Leo, and most particularly in the phase of Leo where it's very important to look at and to let go of the grip that childhood wounding has on us. You know, if we go back to the idea of Cancer being the sign that has to do with home and family, Leo in some ways represents the place where we had to learn to be certain ways in order to receive acknowledgement and recognition from those around us. And for many of us, it means that we don't end up feeling fully seen, and we don't end up feeling fully recognized. This is very common for people with Leo strong in their chart, is to not feel recognized, acknowledged, and seen. So there's a process that Anubis, in his relationship to the sign Leo, needs to go through, where he lets go of his attachment to his childhood wounds and learns to recognize and see himself. So this process has already begun for us collectively with this movement of Venus and Mars in relationship to Saturn and Uranus. We first had an opportunity to kind of see what isn't working, and then to get in touch with what it is that we want to have work. What do we want to receive? Venus is about what we want to receive. This is Isis. Mars is about what we manifest in the world. That's Sat. So we have an opportunity to look at the ways in which we're not fully manifesting that which we most want to receive in some way during this time. So I thought we could go on a journey with Anubis, and remembering in the Egyptian pantheon, Cancer, the water sign Cancer, is allied with Nut and Geb. These are the divine parents. Nut is the sky goddess, Geb is the earth god. These two are madly in love with each other, and through their love they create a sacred container that holds and protects all of us on planet Earth. And this container is the biosphere. It's the biosphere of earth and sky, the atmosphere and the earth itself. This is our home. Without a healthy biosphere, we will not feel safe, secure, stable. We are nurtured by this biosphere. So understanding that this is kind of the territory that we're in. This is Cancer season. So we're all looking at what it is that we need in order to feel safe, secure, stable, and nurtured. What I'd like to do with this journey is give us an opportunity to allow Anubis to show us what it is that, what areas we need to release in order to fully step into our power. One of the things that's going to happen during this next moon phase is Chiron, the wounded healer, is going to be changing direction. That's going to take place on the 15th. Chiron will be Aries, on the 13th degree of Aries. It's going to turn retrograde. Whenever an object, particularly one of the outer objects, is changing direction, that object is very powerful on planet Earth. Chiron represents those places where we need healing in some way. Where through working together, through introspection, through understanding what has happened to us in some way, forgiving it, we open ourselves up to some type of healing. So there's a process that has to be gone through. Chiron, as the wounded healer, represents in the Greek and Roman myth, Chiron was a centaur who was abandoned by his mother. Anubis in the Egyptian myth was also abandoned by his mother. So the wound for both of these archetypal beings is around abandonment, which is a core wound for many of us who live here on planet Earth. Where do we feel abandoned? Where have we not been fully seen? Where have we not been welcomed? And in what way, and this is the most important question, in what way are we now, at this time in our life, abandoning ourselves? So, I want to invite everyone to get comfortable. Put your feet flat on the floor. Take a couple of nice deep breaths. Let go of distractions. Allow yourself to come completely present. Feel whatever it is that's supporting you, whether you're sitting up in a chair, lying down. Feel how you are being supported. And I invite you to imagine that you were in a forest. It's a beautiful place. There are many trees. Perhaps there's a stream nearby. The air is crisp and clean and cool. And just allow yourself to be in this forest. And to look around, to look at the place that you have come to. There is something womb-like about this forest, something protective about it. It's as though you are being embraced in some way by the life, by the trees, by the branches that surround you. So allow yourself to feel that, and in some way to relax into it. And into this place comes Anubis. Now, many times in Egyptian myth, Anubis is portrayed as a man with the head of a jackal. A jackal is a kind of a wolfish-looking dog. And it may be that this is how he appears to you today. Or he may come to you as a man, or he may come to you as a jackal. However he does, it's right. But no matter how he shows up, the one thing that is a constant when you meet Anubis is his beautiful eyes. Look deeply into them. As you do, you see love, you see compassion, you see understanding. Anubis understands what it feels like to feel hurt, to feel abandoned, to feel betrayed, to feel misunderstood, to not be listened to not be seen, to not be valued, to not feel safe and secure. He understands this. He experienced his own wounding in his childhood, and it hurt him deeply. It hurt his heart. And so he understands it. And he can see the wounding that you feel within yourself. The places within you where you do not feel seen or heard, where you do not feel safe and secure. And so Anubis invites you to follow him. He is walking down a path in this forest. He's taking you someplace. He wants you to come with him. So allow yourself to follow him. And as you do, you see ahead of you a structure, a building. This is a structure, a building that you lived in this lifetime when you were a child. Anubis invites you to stand in front of this building, to look at it, to see it clearly. And then he also invites you to open the front door and walk in. And as you do, you see that there is a mirror leaning against the wall. And he invites you to walk over to the mirror and look into it. To see what is reflected back to you. To look into the eyes of the being who is looking back at you, whether this being is a child, the child that you were when you lived in this house, or perhaps this being is your adult self. And in their eyes, you see the eyes of the child you once were. I'm going to be quiet for a couple of minutes and let you look into the mirror and journey with that child that lives within you, the child that lived in this house. To see the ways in which this child was not fully seen, was not recognized for who they were. Take a nice deep breath. Look into the mirror and journey with Anubis. Allow whatever you're experiencing to come to completion. And you are aware now that Anubis has stepped between you and the mirror. He is blocking out your image. You cannot see it now. He is looking at you intently. And you realize as you look into his eyes, you see a reflection of yourself sent back to you. Anubis truly sees you, sees who you really are, sees the person that you are becoming during this time of transformation and change, sees the new form you're taking on, sees the birth that is yet to be, the formation that is taking place before this birth. He sees who you will be when you fully blossom. Look into his eyes and see in his eyes a reflection of the being you are becoming, the person you are meant to be. Give thanks to Anubis and take what he has shown you and tuck it into your heart, holding it close, continuing to nurture it and nourish it. Take a nice deep breath and come slowly back into the room. Thank you. We will talk again.